It's a shocking statistic, but in England, one farmer a week takes their own life. With those stats, it's fair to say that we have a real problem on our hands. So we sent farmer Ali Hunter Blair to find out exactly what's been done about it.
Hi there, my name's Ali Hunter Blair. I am a farmer in Herefordshire. I'm 30 years old and I run a 400-acre arable farm in Ross-on-Wye. I've lived here all my life. My dad farmed the land for 45 years before I took over 5 years ago. For me, there's nowhere else on earth I'd rather be. I absolutely love what I do. But it can also be a very isolating and lonely existence, with no one to talk to for days on end, and for some farmers, nowhere to turn to when times get tough.
They're working very long hours, and often when they face other difficulties, their automatic reaction is to work harder and longer, and so they're less able to deal with the mental health issues that they may be facing. They become less resilient.
And our stubborn inability to speak out or ask for help is having a devastating impact. Day to day on the farm is pretty full on. It's physically gruelling and hectic. We, as farmers, go out in the morning with plan A, and if we're on plan Z by the middle of the day, we're doing quite well. Something always changes. You are constantly managing 10, 15 different things in your head at the same time. It's not just a case of sitting on a tractor and ploughing or whatever it is you're doing. The intensity of the job also makes it one of the most dangerous industries to work in. It can be, if you let it be, quite lonely, I suppose. You go out and you sit on a tractor for 12, 14 hours a day and you see nobody. I mean, I can go through an entire day where I don't speak to anybody other than the dog, and she's great for listening, but not great for really giving you any advice. But one person that's good for advice, whether I want it or not, is Dad. With 50 years of farming under his belt, we'll happily chat about anything when it comes to the farm. Although there's one thing that Mum's noticed we never talk about.
Personally, I think it's worse for men than women. Women will go round and chat, they'll go and have a cup of tea with somebody, and there's, men don't. They'll go out to cricket, they'll go to rugby, they'll go and things, but they don't actually...
It's a male pride thing, isn't it?
They won't talk about their feelings.
That's what we were talking about before.
Also, they won't talk about their personal problems or finance or cash flow, which is going badly wrong. There is nobody to talk to. And this is, I think, one of the most difficult things in farming at the present time, because the cash flow, which is what farmers are all worried about, is having an income. If that goes wrong, they get seriously depressed. And I've been depressed in the past, but luckily I've been able to shake myself out of it.
Are there people that you could speak to? Would you have?
You don't talk to many people about your problems. And there's probably, say, two or three, less than one handful of people you could actually go to if you're in trouble.
As usual, Mum and the old man are right. We farmers are generally rubbish at talking about our problems. We're competitive businessmen and women, that's what we are. So you're not gonna tell somebody that actually things aren't going particularly well. I am a bit stuck, my overdraft is increasing, and I don't know how we're gonna get out of it. Because it's pride. Farmers especially are very proud and often very stubborn in their attitude. So talking to somebody about it is a massive hoodoo. An added difficulty is that about 90% of our business is outside of my control. From the weather to market prices and, of course, politics.
Lots of speculation about what the future holds for British farming, and that uncertainty causes anxiety in itself. We're finding that those that are already finding difficulty with their farming business or their farming life see that as an added anxiety and adds to the pressure.
So what's out there to help farmers cope with these pressures? Well, one person who's helping farmers in Pembrokeshire is Emma Picton-Jones. 2 years ago, her world was turned upside down when her husband Daniel took his own life.
Most people look in and you think, wow, he's got a wife and he's got children, and he's got a massive 13-ton digger and he's working and the work is kind of there, and he's on farms and he's happy when we've seen him, and he was always kind of came across as this real quiet character.
Daniel had struggled with his mental health for years, but like most farmers, asking for help was just one step too far. Within weeks of Daniel's death, Emma had formed the DPJ Foundation in his memory, with a simple function: to provide free of charge, immediate mental health support for farmers, and a family member can call on your behalf.
We're able to provide counselling which can actually go out onto farms. So we've got outreach counselling. So our counsellors will actually go out onto the farm at a time that suits them best.
And there's more. The foundation also provides a telephone and online counselling service, so there's no excuse for not reaching out. The fact is, farmers don't live conventional lives, so in order to access support, it needs to be delivered in an unconventional way. And that's what makes the DPJ Foundation so unique.
Hopefully DPJ can be successful and continue to receive funding so that they can roll it out, or roll things that are similar out across on a national level as opposed to maybe just a local level.
Hearing Daniel's story has made me stop and think about my own life and business. And for me personally, that pressure point will always be the finances.
I suppose the big risk from my point of view is always financial. That's where we sit. We have to pay the rent for the farm, otherwise we have no farm. You know, that's what it comes down to. If I can't afford to pay the rent, I get kicked out. That's really the long and short of it. This is my livelihood. This is everything that I have ever had and probably will ever have, and I love it. But it could all be taken away from me, and that's terrifying.
Like most farmers growing up, I was a member of the National Federation of Young Farmers. It's an organisation supporting young people aged 10 to 26 living in a rural community.
On average, we're asked 4 times a day, how are you doing? How are you? How are you feeling?
Rural Plus is a collaboration between young farmers and the Farming Community Network, an education programme focused on mental health and well-being.
Is there anyone specific you'd be able to talk to about it?
Friends more than anyone I would have thought, yeah. Probably family as well.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with what Harry said. Probably a bit more aware of it after this evening, but probably only speak to certain people about it, not everybody. More like close friends or your family. They're probably who you've been on for support.
I think young people are much more willing to talk about their personal concerns, and for us that's a real gateway into their families as well.
And for me, that's the key. We have to deal with this together.
We are fantastic at coming together, being this tight, close-knit community when there's a disaster, when there's a tragedy. We need to be able to do it, shake off that pride and do it before the tragedy happens.